consumer's mind, everything is about their lifestyle, their context, the fashion, and they see it as a fashion ecosystem. The fashion ecosystem in some cases start very early. For example, the fibers have to start predicting nearly 2 years ahead. Leather industry will have to start predicting much ahead. And then the garment, the colors and the seasons may be very close to the season that it is predicted in terms of. But the silhouettes may be predicted a year or 2 years before. But the colors may be just predicted in about 3 to 4 months ahead. And with the fast fashion emergence of Zara and Mango and Uniqlo and various kinds of other players which have come into the world, and also the online platform which allows instant gratification, there is crashing of the timelines or the crashing of the time cycles which have happened. And therefore, if India continues to look at the disaggregated structure of India's textile industry, as somewhere the cotton farming is taking place, somewhere the fiber production is taking place, and the yarn is produced in certain spinning mills in Tamil Nadu, which almost has 36% of India's textile apparel employment, or in some other parts of Karnataka or Maharashtra or in other parts. And then you are looking at the apparel economies or the clusters like Ludhiana or Tirupur or Panipat or some other place in Jaipur or Delhi, Manesar belt, to really become the producers. But then you forget that Delhi became a fashion garment capital, mainly because it had access to 5 states around it and their crafts, whether it was the chicken curry and the sardosi which came from various parts of UP, or the block printing and the Bagru printing and the Sanganir type of printing, and the various Gotapatti work and the bead work and the metallic beads work and all kinds of things which came from UP and Rajasthan, and various other embroideries which came from Madhya Pradesh or Punjab, Fulkari from Punjab, for example, and Haryana. All this really helped the fashion industry's value chain to become active in Delhi. And that is why it became a fashion garment production. And Chennai, for example, became a basic garment production because it got the production from Erode, Karur, Salem, Madras checks and ginghams and the crepes and all that came into the shirt making in Chennai and the Ambattur area, and it became a cluster for shirt making. And Bangalore was interested in getting imports of fabrics which are from Taiwan or China, and they became an outerwear manufacturer, and later they became even lingerie and even various kinds of skiing and sportswear and casual sportswear and things like that, which was very different from other places. Whereas the Bombay and the Lower Parel and the Kharghar and that kind of belt, which actually came, if you really look at the story of creative garments, it was a Gujarati businessman who was in a train when Vijay Agarwalji was traveling in the train for actually starting an automobile automobile mechanical workshop, who got tempted to buy the entire apparel unit in Lower Parel in the mid-70s, which led to his becoming a large exporter. So this is what happened in Mumbai. Many of the people who joined that industry set up the units in Lower Parel, and they became mostly cotton blouse and upper, women's dressmakers and those kind of garments. So there has been a very interesting specialization which was geographically reflecting. And same thing followed later into the domestic garment production when the W's and the Bibas and the various bridal wear manufacturers came in. They started using India's craftsmen and various crafts around India to really give them high value addition. But if you see it all as disparate elements of the chain, then there is really no impact, no synergy. But that is where the possibility for India being a very large jute producer, a very large silk producer, second largest cotton producer. It has got all the various natural fibers of banana to pineapple to various trees, which has got its barks available for making various kinds of natural fibers, including bamboo. We look at all these natural resources that are available in the country to make even a sustainable fashion statement. But if you continue to see it as different councils for powerloom and handloom and handicrafts and apparel and cotton and synthetic and rayon and the multiple, more than I think 41 such councils and various people who are all talking about different segments. But these segments, if the consumer's angle, if you begin to see, it becomes a simple fashion ecosystem. It is part of a global fashion ecosystem, including the leather and the handbag makers and the jewelry makers and the belt makers and the eyewear makers and the perfume makers and the various bag makers and the lifestyle product makers and the home textiles, and everything is part of a large lifestyle and fashion ecosystem. And then you begin to see the humble craftsman as a designer level 1. And it can go to the level 5 of a NIFT graduate, level 5 of a ATDC FDT graduate, and level 7 of a NIFT BDS graduate or an NID BDS graduate. And then you go into actually see him in the post-graduation level. So actually it is a chain of people who are contributing to this final fashion statements, what you see on the ramp in Paris or in New York and London or Milan or in Lakme Fashion Week or DCI Fashion Week. If you start seeing this in this new perspective, the signal is that India, if it continues to hang on to the word of textile, clothing, garments as it was in the post-independent or pre-independent India, without realizing that 1987, when the NIFT started, National Institute of Fashion Technology started, and the fashion word became more acceptable, and the NIDs from 1961 onwards was using the word design. And if you start these two magical words to superimpose on this structure of textile apparel value chain from raw material to the retail chains, then you begin to see that it is much better for India to recognize that it is a global fashion ecosystem. It is very much part of it. And therefore, seeing the segments in this manner has not given it the leadership it could have had. And that is where I call it the game changer of bringing this together can lead to an actual game changer, provided we are able to see India's textile apparel or textile clothing, TNC and TNA as it is normally referred to, as a fashion ecosystem. And that is my argument called game changer. And thereafter we will go into the more of employment and issues related to the job losses that may happen through automation. And then thereafter we will look at what kind of a skilling ecosystem is required to juxtapose to the fashion ecosystem and what is the roadmap forward.